Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness, day 3 of 365 with David McDonald, the GOAT. All right. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. All right, so we're going to get into our meditation routine. Morning, AJ. All right, I will see you all on the other side shortly. Morning, Mike. Top of the morning to you, brother. Al, good morning. Have a great weekend. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We just finished our meditation routine, and now we're going to get into our journaling routine. I know I haven't spoken about it much, but if you're just joining us for the first time, the journaling routine is a perfect opportunity for us to write down our manifestations, our dreams, our goals, the things that we wish to see happen in our reality. It's a good way to track your thoughts. It's a good way to flesh ideas out on paper. And once you write them, a miraculous thing happens. You're actually able to materialize the things that you think about. And so it's a really, really powerful and deep way to convey thought and begin drawing on your life canvas. So with that being said, I will see you all on the other side. All right. So, welcome back, everybody. We have been reading this ninja selling book, and it's written by Larry Kendall. Um, it's been an awesome book so far, to say the least. And yesterday I attempted to catch us up over the last 20 or so pages, but wasn't able to because the power cut out with the storm that we had yesterday, and my internet got disconnected. So I'm going to continue reading here now for 15 minutes. And I'll see you guys on the other side, and then we'll make a second attempt at trying to catch us up so that we can continue and start reading from the book directly. So with that being said, I will see you on the other side. Excuse me. Hmm. Okay, so welcome back. So now we left off on chapter 4. So in chapter 4, we were starting to speak about rituals. So top salespeople have a pregame ritual they practice before they meet with their customers. All peak performances that I know have a pregame ritual. Use a pregame ritual to move yourself into a high positive performance quadrant it is before time, right before it is time to perform. Some people listen to a particular piece of music, others use visualizations or affirmation. Some sit quietly and meditate or relax their breathing. Others focus on their clients, their needs, and how to connect with them in the opening 2 minutes. The material, this is a mental rehearsal. So, creating rituals, it's creating rituals is no different than what we're doing pretty much every morning. So every morning that we wake up, we are creating a ritual. We are creating pause. We are conducting ourselves. We are in a ritual. We are having a ritual moment right now as we wake up every day, and we prime ourselves for the rest of the day. Right. So for some, you may go back and take a nap, and for some, you may get up and continue and start building something. Putting a little time in, every single day, pushing your meter for progress and progressiveness, a little bit further ahead. So strategies to counteract the dark side. Rituals can also be helped to get you on track when you are in trouble. What happens when you find yourself in a high negative or low negative quadrants, the dark side? You are human and you'll end up in these quadrants sooner or later. So what they're talking about here is there's a quadrant. Robert Kiyosaki in his Rich Dad Poor Dad book talks about a quadrant also. And so ironically in this book it's talking about pretty much a four section quadrant model. And in the top left you have high high negative, and then in the bottom left you have low negative, and then in the top right you have high positive, and in the bottom right you have low positive. So the dark side is when we allow ourselves to go to the left side of the quadrant. So either the high negative or the low negative, but either way, those express feelings like fear, guilt, shame, etc. And then you have on the positive side, happiness, joy, thankfulness, gratitude, etc. And so a ritual can actually help you get out and move yourself from the dark side to the positive side. Ironic? I think not. Because when you're in these activities, you're constantly monitoring the way that your brain is working. You're constantly monitoring the way that you're thinking. And, when we took our 30 days off, and I wasn't on my ritual every single day, I was actually very surprised to see and feel the huge or the tremendous amount of difference of how my life was, pretty much going. And just simply, being able to wake up every morning and be on this ritual and keep my mind sharp and focused on what it is that I truly wish to manifest is really a powerful thing. Misery loves company. This is a trap. Other traps are drugs, alcohol, food, and shopping, spending money that you don't have. They make you feel better in the short run, but tend to keep you in negative quadrants in the long run. So, some ways that you can move from the negative side of the quadrant, which is the left side, to the positive side of the quadrant, is by exercising acts of gratitude. So, being in a state of gratitude at all times. Um, for me, one of my points of gratitude yesterday was being protected while I was driving, you know? So just always being protected and being safe while I'm driving from point A to point B. The likelihood and the probability of getting in an accident is whatever percent. And so every time I get into my car or every time you get into your car, we put ourselves in a situation or a risk, for being in an accident. And so to take time to find something so small and then to exercise that state of gratitude all throughout your day and really all throughout your life, it really allows for the doors to open up for more blessings to come to you. It actually changes your biochemistry from a state of like depression or sadness, and it takes you to the place of high positive, low positive, more emotional, positive feelings. Exercising is a big one. Music, so listening to positive and uplifting music. Nature, take a hike or go for a drive. Learn, take a lesson or a class. Escape, go to a movie or a ball game, mentally check out for a while. Positive people, so be around positive people who make you feel better about yourself. And mentors and coaches. So avoiding the traps of, okay, well, my life is going this way, and so therefore I'm going to get into drugs and alcohol and things that may go against your defined character. The ninja morning routine. A ninja morning routine? Who would have thought? Routines are different from rituals. Routines are activities you do every day. For example, how many hours of sleep do you get per night? What is your exercise routine? What is your daily dietary habits? What time did you get to work? What other activities you do each day to build relationships and generate business? What do you do every day? What you do every day is important than what you do once in a while, because routines have a compounding effect over time. We can predict success in sales by simply observing sales associates' daily routine. So the ninja morning routine consists of 4 simple steps. Again, gratitude, positive reading, affirmations and visualizations, and write 2 personal notes. Focus on others. So in a nutshell, this is pretty much what we do every morning. We meditate, we journal, and we read. And in this, the distinct difference with this, what this book is suggesting and what we actually do, is focusing on others. But in your journal, you can write about other people, right? You can write about, you can write for other people and hold the space for other people to be their best, if you so choose. Or you can just make it about you. This is your journey, so you get to pick. The first step is gratitude therapy. Gratitude, being in a state of thankfulness, is a very powerful energy. Maria learned that even when she was flat broke and living in her mother's basement with 2 small children, there were still things to be grateful for. Taking time to give thanks does a couple of very important things. First, gratitude puts you in the state of positive humility, which is a very important part of the ninja selling philosophy. When the ego gets out of control, a person starts spiraling downward. Second, giving thanks sets up positive vibrational state. When you start feeling good and are emitting good vibrations, this in turn opens you up to receive new possibilities and opportunities flowing into your life. You cannot bring anything new into your life until you are grateful for what you have now. Written by Dr. Michael Beckwith. So, makes perfect sense. If you walk around being miserable all day, or if we walk around being miserable all day, if we walk around, talking about how sucky our lives are, rather than being grateful that we have a job, and we've talked about this in season 1, being grateful that you have a job, being grateful that you're able to pay your monthly bills, being grateful that you're able to buy food, being grateful to be able to go on a vacation, being thankful and grateful for just being able to go on a walk outside and breathe the air and not die, right? And enjoy the sun, lay in the sun, being grateful to be able to use the restroom whenever you want to, being grateful to being able to stick something into the microwave when you're hungry. Whatever it is, find that and being in that constant state of gratitude, again, it unlocks so many different more possibilities in your life. It's your feelings that determine your vibrational frequency and your sending/receiving channels. You decide this every day. So priming ourselves every morning is a good way to mentally get us into a state of gratitude, reminding us early on that we need to carry out throughout the day and be in touch with our vibrational frequency, our vibe. So begin with gratitude. Begin with gratitude. I found it works best if you start with gratitude, attitude of gratitude. So just be thankful. Okay. Every day is a gift. Well, you can make a lot happen by learning how the universe works, but you always need to remember you didn't create it, and you need to continuously have an attitude of gratitude. So I was in the middle of a transaction, right? Check this out. I was in the middle of a transaction, and I had an agent who kept calling me on the phone, and he was trying to get his offer like to the top of the list. So I admire his consistency and persistency, or persistence. And so, long story short, something ended up happening where he got to a point where he just started getting really abrasive and rude, really disrespectful. And so he continued to call me like every single day. And I'm in meetings, sometime, parts of the day. I'm in trainings parts of the day. I'm taking time for self to, focus on certain parts of my business, right? And so, I might be driving, and I might be in a state of, meditation as I'm driving, an open state of meditation. And, so he calls me, and long story short, he gets very upset, and he goes, I was like, hey, I just want to let you know that, I understand and I respect that you're doing your best to work for your client, but now I feel like you're pretty much like harassing me. Like you're not giving me any time to respond. You're not giving me any time to make a move while I'm trying to get through my day. It's like you're calling me so much. And he stops and he goes, oh, okay, and then he starts getting upset and he says to me, he goes, I closed more business than you did in last year in like a couple months. And the first thing that came to my mind was, congratulations, that's cool. Too bad, I'm not competing with you because, for me, that's not what it's about right now, right? And so, long story short, I ended up writing him a message because he pretty much wrote me a message, and then later on, pretty much like apologized for what he had said, right? And this is like not uncommon. I've seen this from a couple of agents. It's actually very unprofessional. But pretty much what I said to him was this. I said, look, man, you know, you might be doing very well, but the one thing you never ever want to do is take it for granted. You have to remember at all times that you don't have to do anything. But I was like, I constantly remind myself that this can be taken away from you at any minute. And the way that you're treating people, pretty much, isn't the best way. And, long story short, that ended up fizzling out. But every day is a gift, is my point. Every day is a gift. And so I think it's really important, and I feel that very important that we treat it that way. And that will allow us to stay humble, because throughout this journey, you will be successful. You will see great strides, dedicating yourself to this routine. I can guarantee you that because I've seen it in myself and I've seen it in many people around me. So knowing that, it's very powerful. Just make sure we stay in a great gratitude every day. What you focus on, your mind expands. So now the book starts getting into a really cool understanding of the brain. So for season 2 this year, I really want to get into understanding how the brain works. Because if we can read books that talk about the way that the brain works, it'll allow us to help understand ourselves even more thoroughly. The more thorough that we are in understanding who we are as people and the way that our brain works, because most of this, all of it starts from our thoughts and then moves to a number of other things, right? Then the more powerful we will become, enlightening us to a deeper level. So the reticular activating system, in computer terms, the RAS is your central processing unit. So the reticular activating system is located just here on the bottom back of your neck. The IRS operates as your onboard Google search engine program in what you are looking for. The reticular activating system will seek and find it. It operates on two pathways: want value and don't want value. Now, want value, do not want value. In all of the books that we've read in the last year, most of them, if not all of them, refer to focusing on what you want and not focusing on what you don't want, and then just pretty much letting go. So whatever you focus on expands. The power of your reticular activating system. You repeat to yourself, stay out of that trap, stay out of that trap. But where does the ball go? Into the trap. He's talking about golfing. Why? Because that's where you programmed it to go. And then vice versa on the other side. You say, I enjoy hitting the green every single time I go out. I enjoy hitting the green. The chances probability of you hitting the green is a lot higher than you hitting the sand trap, because mentally you are focusing on what you want, not on going into the trap, what you don't want. Fair? And that can be challenging sometimes, especially considering that you might, we get sometimes it can be confusing, because you could say to yourself, okay, well, I don't want this. I don't want this. This isn't what I want in my life. And then ironically, because you're focusing on what you don't want, that's what actually expands. So you have to consider and reposition your mind to say, I want this. This is what I enjoy. That's how you make an affirmation. This is what I enjoy. I affirm that. I love that I've accomplished this before it happens, right? And then connect with the feeling deeply. Living a life with no intention or with no attention is living a life of unknowingness. And that's my personal quote. So just to go through life and allow things to happen to you, I don't know how I'd be able to do it. Living intentional is very important to me. So learning to run your brain. So the brain is broken up into three parts. You have the consciousness, the non-conscious, which is back here, and then the creative non-conscious, and then the reticular activating system, right? The non-conscious is what we know today as the subconscious, but scientists and theorists now are saying, well, to say sub means to be under the actual conscious. So we have to learn pretty much what the three different parts of the brain, what the three different parts of the brain actually do. So let me see here. My conscious brain is what I am using to read this book. It is my awareness of what is going on around me right now, what I am seeing, hearing, smelling, feeling, and tasting. Your conscious will actually tell you, hey, you don't have $1 million in the bank, so therefore you're not a millionaire. That's when you have to gear and start using your non-conscious, because the non-conscious has the ability to perceive, to pretty much judge, or label truths. And so if emotionally you feel that you are a millionaire, if emotionally you feel emotionally satisfied, emotionally if you feel that you are and you are a great person, whether your reality, so your consciousness, what you're experiencing right now is showing you that, your non-conscious doesn't have any judgment. It just says, hey, that's the truth, because you feel it, you know it, you have a knowingness about it, you walk that way, you act that way. Even if you might go off course, it doesn't matter. Your reality will be affected, but then you just pull yourself back in, and your non-conscious will be the thing that actually allows you to manifest the greatest reality for yourself. I know it sounds kind of crazy. It sounds wild or very interesting, but that is the secret of life, in my opinion, or at least one of them. My non-conscious brain is like a recording device. It switched on and started recording while I was still in my mother's body. It records all experiences, all I've ever seen, heard, and felt. Forgets and it never judges. My non-conscious assumes that everything it is recorded is the truth. These recordings become my program. Self-image, how I see myself. Self-talk, what I say to myself. Self-esteem, how I feel about myself. Beliefs, how I believe in the world. So that's why it's really important, in my opinion, to know who you are. Because you got to remember, if your non-conscious is recording everything and somebody says you're a loser, you're not worth a dime. You are the worst person on earth, right? Your non-conscious records this experience and the way that you felt. And so now you are beginning to be programmed by the people around you. Same way that if people look at you and say, you're a genius, you're smart, you're awesome. That your non-conscious records that, you have that experience. Now you're programming yourself, right? Now on the negative side of that sequence, the thing to pay attention to is these same people, right? These same people that are around you and telling you all these negative things about yourself, there's a number of things why that's inaccurate. The first thing is, what are they going through? If they're going through and they have a bad life and they live a bad lifestyle, they're going to try to put that negativity on you. And then, what ends up happening is now their judgments and their transgression is now being pressed upon you when it shouldn't be. And then what else? Potentially, they're judging you, right? If you're doing something they don't understand, or you have a dream that's so big that they can't even see it for themselves, Les Brown says the best, then they're not going to be able to see it for you. And so they attach you with the label. They say, no, you're supposed to be this, or no, you're this because you do this act. And so it's just, there's so much inconsistency there. And that's why I say living your life without paying attention is living a life of unknowingness. Because if you don't pay attention to how your thoughts are processing in your brain, if you're not paying attention to how you're moving about in this thing that we call life, then you're not in control. And so life is just happening to you. And so in order to take that control back and have some say in the way that your reality plays out for yourself, taking full responsibility for your actions and for the life that you currently have been blessed with, is really important. So then we move into the creative conscious. Think of your conscious brain as your computer screen, your non-conscious brain as your hard drive and programmable software. And then my creative non-conscious brain is the driver or operating system that runs my program. It forces me to behave consistently with my program. It acts as an autopilot, keeping me on track with my program. So if you've been programmed to think that you have a sickness, if you've been programmed to think that you're supposed to act a certain way, you're supposed to be a certain way, the way that you reprogram yourself is by putting yourself into a new environment. So if the people around you paying attention to your life and paying attention to the way that you feel and sourcing where those things are coming from, if you have to recreate your circle and love people from a distance and push them away, or just distance yourself from them, then do that. That's fine. You have to reprogram yourself. You have to feed yourself with positive material. You have to literally brainwash yourself with positive material. Speeches. I mean, YouTube has a billion videos that you could go watch in terms of self-esteem, understanding how the brain works. Go out, find a hobby, a number of things. I could talk about this stuff forever. So the little voice. Do you ever talk to yourself? Do you ever hear a little voice inside your head that is often your creative non-conscious? So they say when you dream and you manifest things, you don't want to shock yourself, right? Or your creative non-conscious, the more time that you spend with yourself, this is such a good book, I'm telling you guys. I wasn't even supposed to spend this much time in these earlier pages because I'm trying to get to where I'm reading so we can have more in-depth discussion. And so I'm not covering so many topics in one sitting. But when you beef yourself up, beefing yourself up means you talk yourself up. You know how great you are before anybody else does. You know what you have to give to the world. When you take time to really know who you are, what starts to happen is you start to develop a confidence about yourself and everything that you do. So, for example, again, we have two sides of life, right? Three sides: financial, physical, and then spiritual. And the physical and spiritual really coincide with one another in the sake of being healthy and being free-minded. And so you have the financial part is easy one because we all connect with this so well, right? We need money to survive. If you say that I am worth, if I'm worth $500 million, how does your creative non-conscious perceive that, right? If you're like, oh man, I'm just dreaming, that's not realistic. Okay, cool. So then you might have freaked yourself out right there. So one way to build yourself up to get to that point is by saying, I am worth $100,000 a year, right? And I say dream big. So, let's say I have another 50 years on this planet, God-given, or 6 years on this planet. I got 60 years to make my goal. Pause. No, that's a lot of time, But in the grand scheme of things, it's like dream big. So how do you dream big? How do you get to that point? I'm worth 100 grand a year. And then what happens is you make $7,000 a year, a month, right? And you're like, well, I make 3 grand, but if you hold the feeling of making 100 grand, then you will make $100,000. Do I know how? I have no idea, but the universe doesn't care. The universe is going to bless you with an opportunity. The universe will bless you with a scenario where you are now able to make $100,000 a year because your creative non-conscious has decided that, yes, this is your programming. And the way that you get into that, the way that you reprogram your mind to think that way is by writing affirmations. What this book says, writing affirmations 25 times a day. So you have a page of 5 affirmations, what the most important things that you wish to change or reprogram in your life, and you write them 25 times a day. You have you have them printed out on a piece of paper, and you hang it up on your wall in your bedroom. You have them on a note card in your car. You constantly are telling yourself this every day until you believe it. When you get to the feeling of belief, now you're able to say, I'm worth $500 million. You see what I'm saying? Or I'm worth $100,000. So then what happens is you're like, okay, well, I want to see this stuff in full effect. Okay, well, perfect. So now you go from making 3 grand or 4 grand to $7,000 a month. You make that 7 grand, you're like, this is interesting. So then after you make the 7 grand, you go through a year, you make 100 grand. You're like, okay, how can I get more creative with this? Or I'm feeling really confident. I've achieved this smaller goal, and now I want to go for something a little bit bigger. Let's boost that number up to $500,000, right? So now all 3 of your consciousness levels are working. So you got your conscious that's now seeing, well, dang, I just got a check for $7,000. I'm making 100 grand a year. Awesome. And then you have your non-conscious, which is recording all of these experiences and saying, wow, that's your truth. And your reality is now showing you it, right? And then you have your guide, which is your non-conscious creative. And now your non-conscious creative believes that you are everything that you're saying you are. And now you make 30 grand in a month. You make $30,000 in a month. You make $40,000. You make $50,000 in 1 month. And you're like, okay, I'm going to do that again and again and again. And you do it for month 1. You do it for month 2. You do it for month 3. You do it for month 4. And then boom, you're at $500,000, right? You've earned net $500,000. You've just taken your level you've just taken your game to the next level, right? Your life to the next level. And now your creative non-conscious is saying, well, okay, you have the confidence. Your reality is indicative. It's showing everything that you're thinking. Now let's take it to the next level. Multi-millionaire. And then you see what I'm saying? So programming yourself takes time, and you have to put in the work, right? Or we have to put in the work. But what I'm saying here is that a very important thing is you have to control the little voice in your head. And so hopefully that was, something that, you were able to take, or you're able to take, and apply it to take your life to the next level, because you deserve it. We all deserve it. Just being born on this earth, we deserve it. So setting goals is a function of the conscious mind. Reaching goals is a function of the non-conscious mind. So everything I just said is pretty much being said more formally in this writing. When I was growing up, we used the term subconscious. Yeah, we talked about that. The non-conscious can't take a joke. Since your non-conscious mind is non-judgmental, it records and believes anything that happens in the present moment, including your goals and affirmations that are stated in a present tense. It actually believes these things have happened, and they become a part of your program. So again, understanding how the brain works. And what that means is, instead of you saying, I'm going to be 100,000-aire, is what I call it. I'm going to be 100,000-aire by the end of the month or by the end of the year. You say, I enjoy being $100,000 earner right now. So that affirmation in your non-conscious, because it makes its assessment and records as truth for what you are saying that's happening right now, right? That's what your non-conscious does. So for you to say that I enjoy earning $100,000 versus I can't wait to earn $100,000 by the end of the year, stands true to say it. The the way that I said it the first time. I enjoy being $100,000 heir. So $100,000 nair. Sorry, millionaire. It's early. So what I'm saying here is that you have to assume the feeling as if it's already here before your reality is actually, is actually changed, and your subconscious will help you take it to the next level. So I'm gonna conclude here because I feel like I've been talking a lot, and have some water and continue on with my Saturday. So hopefully everybody was able to take something from today's talk. This book, like I said, is absolutely great. We got to page 36, and I am currently on page 63. So tomorrow we'll jam through this. And then the story of Maria. One second. I actually really like that story, and I'll end with it. Where is she? No, okay, maybe not. Okay, so never mind. So, there's ample examples. What I was going to say is, in conclusion, there's ample of examples of people out there recreating their realities on a daily basis. So the story about Maria was, she was a grown woman who, dared to dream. She was living in her mother's basement. She had 2 kids. She was flat broke, didn't have any money, and decided to get into real estate, if I'm not mistaken. So remember, ninja selling is based around real estate, and then the collateral damage, or the collateral the collateral value that it brought to so many different professions took it to like the next level, because it's all universal business concepts for the most part. So Maria was living in her mother's basement, and what ended up happening was she changed her mindset and began reprogramming herself. She's now, or like within her first 6 months, she closed like so many, transactions. Within her first like couple years, she closed the most, like she was pretty much one of the highest closing mothers in the entire company. And so what happened was she reprogrammed herself, and she took all the stuff that we just talked about today and applied it to her life, and was able to take her life to the next level. There are countless stories like this. I'm one of them. And so when we're online, we're talking about this stuff, it's like it really is fact. Like your life can change, but it all starts with the way that you think. So with that, I hope you all have the best Saturday of your lives today. Do something that makes you happy every day. Be in a state of gratitude constantly. Pay attention to your thoughts, pay attention to your feelings, and I hope that you all have a fabulous day. I will see you tomorrow on the journey to greatness. Cheers.